Well, coming up on this Monday on Western Sports Roundup, you're taking a look at one of the greatest bulls in history, Manhater. Unfortunately passed away over the weekend. An injury at the PBR event in Little Rock. J.W. Hart will join us and tell us about that bull who really did believe he was the king of the hill. And we'll take you to Scottsdale, Arizona, where the Parada Del Sol has come to an end. We'll tell you about the top performers in Scottsdale. From Westworld in Scottsdale, that's all coming up in just a few minutes from now on Western Sports Roundup.
And the second of 5 Super Series wrapped up over the weekend at Rodeo Houston. And in a saddle bronc riding field that included both NFR qualifiers and world champions alike, well, it was rookie Easton West that rose to the top at NRG Stadium. Here's a look at his outstanding performance.
5 in San Antonio, the South Dakota kid on a Colorado Bronc.
He might do it. He might do it.
Putting a good picture together.
Folks, that kid is just exactly that.
Well, from the Cowboy Channel studios here in Fort Worth, Texas, welcome to Western Sports Roundup. Happy Monday, everybody. I'm Steve Kenyon, thrilled to be joined by my friend Katie Lucas. You're in town.
I am. I'm back. I'm here for a few days, even a few weeks.
Wow. After traveling all over the country, it's nice to see you. We've got plenty of, this was a huge weekend in Western sports, and unfortunately, we have to start with some sad news. Our Kubota top story goes to the professional bull riders, the PBR, over the weekend in Little Rock. You're looking at the great bull Manhater, who is 2 times the PBR's Bull of the Year and passed away after a competition injury. Casio Diaz was 98 1/4 on that bull in September of 2024. His average ride score was over 92 points per qualified ride. And Katie, when you lose one like Manhater, you lose something that not only was he a bull rider's favorite, but he was a fan favorite.
Well, and at just 8 years old right now, Steve, what a tough loss with that bull that was truly just in his prime. And you can see why the judges love a bull like that so much. Even in this picture right here, you can just see the level of athleticism that a bull like Manhater had. And he has racked up some amazing career stats. But he's a bull with a lot of heart behind him, with a lot of sentimentality behind him because of his story. And we're bringing in J.W. Hart right now to talk about this bull. And we had a little conversation before we started today, J.W., and you said you truly were just the chaperone, the chauffeur, and the feed guy for this bull, because there was such an amazing story as to how you came to haul the bull Manhater.
Yeah, and it's not just the one that just the proudest to be a part of, you know, just the fact that, or to tell, not to be a part of, because I'm very proud to be a part of it, but to tell, you know, we got him. Gene Owens passed away last year, and he was the caretaker of Manhater and a lot of other bulls too. And just the day after his passing, we found he passed. Jane Clark gave me a call and asked if we would take her bulls and take them to the bull ridings for her. And it took me and my wife a day or two to really think about it and come to a conclusion that the best, how we could honor Gene and his bulls and Jane and everything that they had put together was to say yeah to the deal. And most importantly, just leave Gene and Jane's name on them. I don't know if you've noticed at the bull ridings, our name's not on them. We're just doing it out of the memory of Gene and in honor of Jane, and we're so blessed and proud to be a part of it. It's really unbelievable.
You know, we're watching some video of this bull. JW, you've forgotten more about bull riding than I'll ever know. How good was Manhater? Tell me about this bull in the arena, and if you want to, talk about handling him outside the arena. What was he like when he wasn't bucking?
Well, I can say this. I've been present for every single one of the top rides that the PBR's ever had, from Bubba Dunn on Promised Land to Chris Shivers on Dillinger and Jim Jam and Michael Gaffney and all the top scores. I've seen every one of them. I was there in person. I was there for Jose's too. I was there for Casio and Manhater. And I mean no disrespect to anybody. They all made great rides. I think Cooper Davis on Smooth Operator was probably, in my opinion, as a bull rider, was the second best of all time. And I think Casio Diaz on Manhater was the all-time best. Just for the degree of difficulty of those two bulls, they met a different requirement as Whoopah did. Now the flash and the bang and the lights, Jose's right in there. He's one of the top 3 of all time to me. But Cooper Davis on Smooth Operator, and I'm not saying it because Manhater was in our pen for a while. That happened, and I said it before he come to our house. That was the greatest ride I've ever seen, bar none. The degree of difficulty, just the 2 champions going to battle was just unbelievably epic. And so as of now, that's my number 1. So, yeah.
What was it about Manhater that just gave him that little something extra special that the judges like so much?
Me and Jerome Davis called me this morning, and we was talking, and he agreed that we've never seen a bull that can get his front feet that high off the ground, but then end with his back feet and his back so vertical and his back feet kicking straight out over his head. I've seen great video and great pictures. I've got a picture that I'm having framed, and we'll have on his headstone of John Crimber on him, and it is unbelievable. I've never seen a bull with his feet a foot off the ground with his back so vertical and his back feet straight out the back. So that's what made him special to us in the arena.
It's clear that John Crimber thinks that bull is awful special, too. I saw on social media, he says, "Thank you, Manhater, for not only giving me my best ride of my career so far, but for giving me the confidence that I can do much more than what I expected from myself." What does that say about him as a bull when I'm sure he struck fear in a lot of bull riders, but also a lot of confidence in a guy like John Crimber?
Well, the great ones, and to be in the PBR, you've got to be great, but there's just a different level that some of them guys get to, and those guys crave that kind of bull. They want that kind of bull, and they appreciate that kind of bull. So it's good to see when them great guys draft him. Brady Fielder, reached in there a couple of times and picked him and rode him. Unfortunately, he is the last one to get the shot at it, but my hat's off to those guys because they knew what they had, the mountain ahead of them, and they went head to head with him, and sometimes they beat him.
Highest ride score 49.5 out of a possible 50. Average score 44.32 out of a possible 50. I quoted a statistic. I forget the exact number, but it was like when they rode Manhater, they rode him for an average of 92 points, more or less. It's an amazing number. Put on your bull rider hat for a minute, JW. With a bull like that, as a bull rider, you pick him. You say, I want to get on him in a short round someplace. You know you've got a chance to be spectacular. You know you've also got a chance for a spectacular buck-off. There wasn't much in between with him, was there?
It takes fortitude to step up to the plate and know what you got to be. And I've seen a few guys do it. Casio's picked him, a few times. When Casio, the first time he had him, he was coming in late in the bull riding, and he called me on the phone, and I said, "You're in the short go, but you're coming from behind. The only way you can win this event is if you pick Manhater." And he picked him, and he rode him, and I wasn't there for the one in California, but I was there for the next couple. And Sage Kimsey's done it. I've heard him say, "I'm middle of the pack. I've got some ground to make up," and he took him. He wasn't as lucky or wasn't as fortunate to get to the whistle, but it takes them better in guys, and they got to have a little smarts to them and a lot of fortitude.
Outside of the arena, you lovingly called Manhater King of the Hill. Why?
That was his playpen. We got a big spot there, and it's got a big old pile of dirt in it that we tear up, and they dig on it and stand on it, and it didn't matter what time of day or night you let him out. He would go to the top of it. He would dig a little bit, and then he'd scream at everybody, and it got to be a joke. He was so predictable what he was going to go do. So his owner, Jane, I'd always send her videos, and those are the videos I send her, just updates on what he's doing, So it was good to see.
JW, there are opportunities, I'm sure, for some Manhater babies to show up in the next few years. And how's that program going to look?
Well, probably more now. You know, everybody's more famous after they die. So I know some people have flushed to him, and Gene had the semen priced high enough they didn't put it in no junk cow. So there's going to be some good babies coming. We was planning on maybe breeding some to him this spring, which that won't happen now, but it'll make the ones that are out there worth more maybe. So that'll be good for them guys.
Yeah, it sounds like the legend of Manhater will continue. JW, thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us. I know this is a big loss, not only for you, but for Jane Clark and all of those in the PBR that wanted to go head-to-head with Manhater, but thank you for your time.
Well, I appreciate it. And Gene always made it a point that tough. Gene always made it a point when he got to talk about Manhater that he give the glory to his Lord and Savior. So his Lord and Savior is the same as mine, Jesus Christ, and he got to give it to him, and he used that bull to get that word out there, and I feel like I wouldn't honor either one of them if I didn't say that. And it's pretty fitting that Red Stegall sang a song that about Freckles Brown and Tornado, and somehow that we hope that there's a heaven for bulls, and somehow we're sure they do, and we hope that he's there in his pastures are greenest and stock takes to ever dry. And I just know that when he breathed his last breath, Gene Owens was at the gate to be the one to let him in. So
I'll bet you there's a big hill waiting for him to climb when he got there, too. JW, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us.
I thank y'all for your help and honoring you.
Yeah, I can't thank JW Hart enough for telling that story. And we didn't get a chance to talk about it, Steve, but the lengths that JW went to save that bull. He had Manhater on the truck before the event was even over. Trucked him 4 hours to get to the veterinary facilities at OSU. He had surgeons, x-ray technicians, everyone waiting on hand at 4 a.m. to look at the bull. They came to the conclusion that the best and most humane thing to do for this bull was to put him down and not allow him to suffer. And I think that's truly a testament to where the world of Western sports is at. It is all about the health and the happiness of these athletes. And I think that's why we see so few injuries like this in the competition arena.
Well, the conditioning of a bull like Manhater, he was in as good a shape as he could be in. Statistically, there are numbers available both in rodeo and the PBR that the number of injuries are basically statistically negligible. It is a tiny percentage of the animals, but when it's one like Manhater, it's one that you remember. And it's a bull that all of us who are fans of the PBR, all of us who are fans of bucking bulls, Kitty and I were both sitting here watching the video while we were talking to JW, and both of us at one point or another went, wow, that bull bucked. He was one of the elites in a field full of elite bucking bulls, and he will be missed. Yeah,
a bull that will certainly be remembered for years to come. But moving on now to our unbeatable feeds moment for the week. We've got to celebrate with Taylor Santos as he got his second timed event title. And Steve, I think this one might have been even more special than the first because of what he had to go through to get back to this point.
Absolutely. He won it in 2020, right before COVID. He won $100,000, but he comes back this year after having missed 2024 and 2025, not competing since 2023, having had surgeries on both hips and his knee to win the timed event title. He was consistent through the first 4 go-rounds, had a couple of almost oopses in the final round. He and Catch Kelton ended up separated by 2.8 seconds.
Wow.
After 25 head. That is as close as there has ever been in a competition at the Lazy E Arena at the timed event championships. And there you see it. 351.7 for Taylor after 25 head. Catch, who was last year's champion, right behind, and then you drop off a little bit to Coleman Proctor and Seth Hall and Chip Breaston Minton. But the final, it came down literally to the final steer in the single steer roping, and Taylor missed his first throw, got him caught with his second throw, and still got him flanked and tied in 22 and a half seconds.
I just want to put that into perspective once again, Steve. This is the Ironman of rodeo. You've got to make 25 runs. You'll head 5 times, heel 5 times, steer rope, steer wrestle, and tie down rope 25 times in total, so to win by 2.8 seconds. When you add the arena that you're in on top of that at the Lazy E, it's what, 600 feet long, something like that.
Yeah.
So 2.8 seconds is just a blink of an eye when you talk about this type of competition. So wow, it was amazing to watch.
In the 5th go round, Taylor was 78.5 seconds. Ketch Kelton was 55.
Wow.
That's the lead that Taylor had coming in. And if you're a fan of the timed event, and I am, it is an event where, especially in that 5th and final go round, a lot of things can get upended in a weird way. And congratulations to Taylor Santos on his 2nd win at the timed event championships.
And that is your unbeatable moment, sponsored by Unbeatable Feeds. No grain, no problem. Watch Western Sports Roundup tomorrow. You'll catch our interview with the man himself.
And we're coming back to talk about the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Super Series number 2 has come to an end. Some big names and some guys who have had success in the circuit system, like Grant Peterson in the steer wrestling. We'll tell you all about it coming up.
And later we're going to do a little celebrating in the sun. Parada Del Sol, Scottsdale, Arizona wrapped up over the weekend, and we'll celebrate with those champions in the Sunshine State.
Western Sports Roundup is brought to you by Resistol, the official hat of the PRCA, and Cowboys everywhere. Western Sports Roundup is brought to you by Rock and Roll Denim. Live boldly. Live in rock and roll denim. $2.5 million on the line in the Bayou City. The Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo Super Series number 2 coming to an end on Saturday night. Super Series number 3 continues with performance number 2 tonight, right after we get done with Western Sports Roundup. But let's go back and take a look at Super Series number 2, because there are a lot of really interesting names. Waylon Bourgeois, $250 better than Rocker Steiner when it was all said and done. Remember, he qualified for his first NFR last December.
Yeah, clearly he'd like to get back, Steve, to his 2nd NFR. He finished number 8 in the world overall in the 2025 season, sitting good in 2026, and no doubt Rodeo Houston is going to help on that mission to get back to Las Vegas as well. But we move on to the steer wrestling and we talk about Grant Peterson. He won $4,125. He finished number 34 in the year for the year last year, Steve, with $57,000, but is kind of one of our more unknown or lesser known competitors.
Multiple-time California Circuit Finals Rodeo qualifier. He was the reserve champion at the college finals a few years ago for Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. He finished just ahead of NFR average winner from 2024, Cash Robb. Let's talk about the team roping. All right, everybody that a bunch of people have researched this around here, and we've all had the same reaction. Surely Caleb and Junior have won Houston at some point, right? No, they haven't, but they swept their Super Series. They were 5 flat, 4-9, 4-8 over 3 nights, and they've won $9,000 already.
And it's hard to be that consistent at Rodeo Houston. Maybe it doesn't look like it on these videos that we're showing right here, but don't forget, this is a football field that they are competing in, so a lot of variables at play. So to be that consistent is a big deal at Houston, and they were paid $9,000 for it. I talked about it off the top of the show, Steve. There were NFR qualifiers. Stetson Wright was in this set of Bronc riders, but it was the rookie Easton West who won $7,000 to top the field. And he's part of, like I said, that 2026 rookie class, currently number 5 in the rookie standings. He stands to move way up at Rodeo Houston.
Yeah, and he's had a really good year. Easton West comes from a family with a dad and an uncle who are both Bronc riders. His grandmother is Ardith Bruce, who was an 8-time world champion and a Pro Rodeo Hall of Famer. $7,000 to the number 1 spot in Super Series number 2 for Easton West. Nice job. Let's talk about the tie-down roping. Bo Pickett, he's been to the Canadian finals a couple of times, but never been to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. Right now, Katie, he's 8th in the world standings.
Yeah, to me, he's just been slowly building in his career, Steve, and he had his career best earnings of $80,000 for the season in 2025 last year. So maybe this is the season that he is able to break through. $4,000 added to his standings there at Rodeo Houston. And like you said, number 8 in the world. And kind of similar story, Macon Murphy is number 14 in the world right now, stands to move up a lot if he can succeed or continue to succeed at Rodeo Houston. And he himself is trying to get back to his second NFR since his debut there in 2022.
Yeah, and so there you take a look at it. The pair of them, $4,000 apiece. Let's talk breakaway roping. And the lady who was the 2024 Resist All Rookie of the Year as we get ready for the Rookie Roundup in a couple of weeks. Summer Williams from Mississippi, $5,500. The top two money winners in this Super Series, both at Houston for their first time. Summer Williams and Josie Goodrich out of Oregon, $5,000. And Summer Williams, 3 great runs, including a 2.5. That's one of the fastest times of the rodeo so far.
What she's earned so far as well will just about double her current earnings in the WPRA, so big help for her. Sydney Graham, she's a really interesting competitor that we've been watching in the pro rodeo game this year. She picked up $5,500 on the 7-year-old stallion DuPont First. Bought him as a yearling out of a sale, and they had some success, Steve, in the futurity world. Now they're ready to take on the pro rodeos.
First in round 2 with a time of 14:34. Second in round 3 with a 14:67. And moving on now to the semifinals. So now let's talk about bull riding. And the fun thing about watching the bull riding in Houston in this Super Series, Trevor Rice, he won 2 out of 3 performances, placed in all 3, won $8,750, and 3 times he got a chance to tackle John Harrison's barrel when it was all said and done when he got done riding.
They have a lot of fun, those two, when they're at the same rodeos together. Trevor, a 2-time NFR qualifier. We saw him compete there in 2017, then was back again in 2024. Could be on his way to his 3rd NFR. Like you said, though, Steve, this was a wrap-up of Super Series number 2. We're already underway with Super Series number 3. We had round 1 yesterday afternoon, round 2 coming your way tonight as soon as we're done with Western Sports Roundup.
Yeah, and we will see who moves on to the semifinals. Remember, 5 3-performance Super Series. That's the tournament-style format at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Couple of semifinals, couple of wild card rounds, and we're a week and a half away or more from crowning the champions at Rodeo Houston, but $2.5 million on the line. It should be interesting to see what happens tonight. Don't miss it.
Yeah, we'll preview who is going to get the lion's share of the next round's earnings at Rodeo Houston, but someone also got the lion's share out of Little Rock. We're going to talk PBR next on Western Sports Roundup. Back inside our Cowboy Channel studios for Western Sports Roundup. Steve, we're changing gears a little bit to talk about the PBR in Little Rock, and there were some pretty impressive performances there, starting off in round number 1. How about Austin Richardson? 93 points.
Yeah, you look at PBR.com, Richardson is 39th in the standings, which means he's got his eye on the cut line there at some point. But 93 on this bull called Ransom. This is the highest marked ride of the entire event for Austin Richardson in round number 1 in Little Rock. What a great way to get off to a big-time start for Austin Richardson with a 93-point score.
Yeah, Sage Kimsey had something to say about it in round 2. He battled with Elmo, maybe a not-so-scary sounding bull name, but look at this ride right here, 82 1/4.
Yeah, Sage got bucked off on Friday. He came back on Saturday. It makes this 89.35. Remember, they go to the 10th points now in PBR in the scoring system, and that is the first qualified ride, but not the last for Sage Kimsey in Little Rock.
Yeah, moving on to the championship round. We're going to go 3-1 here, starting off with the number 3 highest scored ride in that championship. It was John Crimber, 87 3/4 points for him on Mike's Motive.
Yeah, John Crimber, 16th qualified ride of the season for John Crimber. And look out, incoming, that bull kicked the bull rope and the bell and everything off, and it went a-flying. But Crimber finds himself right now in the teeth of a race for a world title.
Leandro Zambolo was number 2 overall in that championship round, 89 1/2 points for him on Nobody.
Yeah, that's a bull called Nobody. This is a bull that guys really like. This is the 6th time in 7 tries that Leandro Zampolo has ridden this bull. They are now 5 out of 6 in championship rounds on that bull this year. That is one of the bulls the guys really like to draft when they get a chance to pick their bulls for a final.
So speaking of guys that really go for those high-scoring bulls when they get a chance to draft, Sage Kimsey had his eyes on lights out. This was a bull he'd wanted to match up with for a while. 91.55 points in that championship for Sage Steele Kinsey to ultimately become the champion of Little Rock. And you know, Steve, I talked with him a few months ago before the event at Madison Square Garden, and to be honest, Sage was not happy with his performance so far in 2026. I believe the word he used to describe himself this season was mediocre at that point. But now when we look at the standings, I don't think he's going to call himself mediocre anymore as he leads the way.
Since then, he has won 3 events, including Little Rock. He has won more go-rounds than any other bull rider in the PBR, 5, including 2 of them this weekend after getting bucked off on Friday to win the second round and then the championship round. He's only 83 points ahead of John Crimber. Leandro Zampolo moves up to the number 3 spot in the world standings. The PBR race, we're only a couple months away from the championship finals here in Fort Worth. The race for that world title in the PBR really getting interesting as that countdown is on.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting one, but it was an exciting time in Scottsdale, Arizona over the weekend. The Parada Del Sol champions have been crowned, and we're going to celebrate them next.
You're looking inside Westworld in Scottsdale, Arizona. A parade of bucking horses to celebrate the livestock in our world of professional rodeo, and a parade of American flags to celebrate our country. The Parada Del Sol taking place over the weekend, coming to an end yesterday. And at this very long-running traditional rodeo in the great state of Arizona, we get a chance to tell you about some of the champions, beginning with the bareback riding 22-year-old Darian Johnson from Utah, the Resistol Rookie of the Year reserve champion a year ago. Good ride, 87 points on a horse called Annie Oakley.
Yeah, what a great horse from Legends Rodeo stock. Darian Johnson, 87 points. Like you said, Steve, really promising rookie last year and has already started to make headlines in his sophomore season. In the steer wrestling, Wyatt Journey was 8.4 seconds on 2. He nearly 40% of them. Won round 1 with a 4.3, second in round 2 with a 4-1, won over $2,500 for his efforts.
Yeah, steer wrestling and tie-down roping were both 2 headers at the rodeo in Scottsdale, and congratulations to Wyatt Journey with that 8-4. Team roping, 1 head Jack Fisher, who I know of as a guy out of Ellensburg, Washington, who runs a painting contracting company, and Scott Lawaki, who's out of Utah. They stopped the clock in a 3.8. That's a slick headshot and a really pretty heel loop.
Yeah, Steve, I was kind of looking at their results, and I think these guys take advantage of the Arizona sun all winter long, and then they head off into their circuits in Columbia River and wilderness circuits, you know, when it gets a little too hot in Arizona. But here's a guy that was heating up things in Arizona. Case Thompson was 87 points on Legend Rodeo's artificial color. You know, he really jumped out in 2021 in his rookie season, Steve. Finished number 16 in the world. Since then, he's had some trouble with injury, and we're just waiting for him to show us exactly what we know that he can do.
Take a look at these feet. That's a 45-point spur ride, according to the judges, in an 87-point score. So nice job, Case Thompson. Let's talk tie-down roping. And one of the rising young stars in pro rodeo, I think, right now. 15th in the world right now. This is Pecos Tatum out of New Mexico, a time of 18.1 on 2, including a go-round winning 8.6 on his first calf.
He's kind of been working his way up the standings too, Steve. He finished number 34 in 2024, 29th in 2025, and like you said, he's now number 15 in the world. He is one of those rising stars that you need to keep an eye on. Danielle Lohman, are we surprised when we say Danielle Lohman sub 2 seconds? It was so exciting to watch this run.
They call it the D-Lo show for a reason. She gets that rope out of her hands so fast. It is amazing. Watch this. 1.7 seconds for Danielle Lohman, and she wins the Parada Del Sol.
Yeah, a win that has been well earned right there with that 1.7 second effort. In the barrel racing, Jana Bean was 17.11. The Texas Cowgirl won by almost 0.2 of a second. This was a gritty run right here.
Yeah, this was a gritty run, and Jana Bean, who's a terrific horse trainer, has been to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo on multiple occasions. 17-11, she's going to leave Tucson as the champion. Let's talk about bull riding, where there was a tie. A veteran out of Canada and a rising young star who's one of the top rookies right now in pro rodeo.
Yeah, Colby Olson has really impressed me early on in this rodeo season. He was 83.5 points here at Salt River Rodeo's Crawfish to get the split win there in Scottsdale. The 18-year-old is number 33 in the world, and he's fresh off a big payday too, Steve. He won the Brighton Field Days Extreme Bulls, or won a $6,000 paycheck there anyways, so he's really been on a roll. And then you mentioned it, Nick Tetz as well. He also finished second at Tucson. The Canadian Cowboy, he's making good use of his trip to Arizona.
Well, but let's talk about what he's done in Canada. He just won his 6th straight Canadian Cup event in Lethbridge, in addition to placing at these rodeos in Arizona. So Nick Tetz has got some frequent flyer miles, but he's also made some money riding bulls. And congratulations to all of the event champions at the Parada Del Sol in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Coming up next on Western Sports Roundup, we're going to get you caught up on Super Series number 3 at Rodeo Houston. They kicked off last night. We're going to tell you who jumped out and won their first round.
Well, it's time for your Veterison Top 3 Western Sports Roundup headlines. Veterison, clean, treat, and heal. The great bull Manhater passing away over the weekend, suffered an injury at the event in Little Rock. You see him walking to the top of the hill that was a part of his home at the ranch, and Manhater will certainly be missed.
Yeah, and it was at that event that Sage Kimzey saw his 3rd Unleash the Beast event championship of 2026. He is at number 1 in the UTB standings, and he's made it pretty clear that he's got his eyes on his next world title in bull riding. And Rodeo Houston, we're right in the middle of the action right now with 2 Super Series wrapped up, and the next group of contestants battling it out right now to see which 4 will move on from their set. And that is exactly where we're taking you next on Western Sports Roundup. Super Series number 3 got underway yesterday afternoon. Steve, with round number 1, let's take a look at who jumped out early in their set.
Yeah, let's talk about the bareback riding. This is just darn near a hometown rodeo for Bradley Miller. From Huntsville, Texas, on a horse called Freshman 15, 85.5. $3,000 to win a round in your Super Series. Miller's 22 years old, been to the NFR twice, and very much in the race for a world title, sitting in the number 3 spot in the world standings.
In the steer wrestling, it was all about 2019 steer wrestling world champion Ty Erickson riding his former horse of the year, Crush. Look at how fast Steve Crush accelerated away from Ty Erickson here when we take a look at the replay. This horse is showing us exactly why the steer wrestlers named him as former horse of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Every year in Houston, somebody jumps from 20 or 25 or 30 into the top 10 or maybe even higher in the world standings. Coy Rallman and Logan Medlin are hoping that they are those guys. Rallman's been to the NFR 1 time. Medlin on the heel side been on 5 times. One of the fastest times of the rodeo, a time of 4.8 to move to the number 1 spot. The single fastest time's been a 4.5.
Yeah, it looks to be a great pairing early on in our rodeo season. Ben Anderson, well, he lost no hope when he got this draw right here. Lost hope from Serby Brothers helped him to an 85-point score in the win in round 1 for the 4-time NFR qualifier. Steve, you talked about climbing up the standings. He's number 20 in the world, so a win here could rocket him well up into the top 15.
So I want to talk about Kincaid Henry, and I want to get your input on this because this horse Mario that he rides going to carry him to this run of 8.6. That was a tricky shot, Katie, and he made it work.
Well, and we didn't get to see it in this video here, but it all started right back in the box. Mario allowed him to pick his reins up and idle through the box here, getting out perfectly, which you have to do to be sub 9 seconds at Rodeo Houston. He then throws over top of Mario's head, but then is still able to get his slack back over onto the correct side, handle that calf that was pushing hard to the left. Really a beautiful run for Kincaid Henry.
So let's talk about the breakaway roping and last year's Resist All Rookie of the Year, Hayden Thompson, riding a horse called Tom. She was a college finals all-around champion, too. That's a 2.9. That's one of the fastest times that we have seen at Rodeo Houston. Hayden Thompson, another one hoping to maybe move up in the standings a little.
Not an easy set of calves either, Steve. A couple of them were trying to run away on our ladies in the breakaway roping. Hayden Thompson, though, she did her job. 2.9 seconds for the former Rookie of the Year. Emily Beisel on Chewy, 14.55, gets the win in round number 1. They're currently number 1 in the world right now. Just won Tucson on her other Palomino, the Vanilla Gorilla, a.k.a. Trigger, but she's excited for Chewy's return to rodeo.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the first run this horse has made since the 10th round of the National Finals Rodeo, and a 14.55. Emily's got to be loving what Chewy did for her right here. $3,000. And Emily Beisel, #1 in the world standings. Let's talk about the bull riding. Cooper James, that kid who took the NFR by storm as a rookie in 2024, coming back and got a little ground money tossed into it. 85 points on a bull called Cowboy Dreams from the Bailey string to move to the #1 spot in go-round #1 of Super Series #3.
After he made all those headlines in 2024, he had to sit things out due to injury, took some time off, made sure he was truly good to go. Looks like he is feeling 100% right now. Good on you, Cooper James, and good on all of these competitors for jumping out early in their set. They've got 2 more rounds to go at Rodeo Houston to get the job done and be in the top 4 moving on at Rodeo Houston out of their Super Series. That's it for Western Sports Roundup. I'm Katie Lucas. He's Steve Kenyon. We hope you have a great night. Rodeo Houston Super Series #3, round 2, kicks off right now.